Good morning and welcome to an English edition of my program, The World in the Pocket. And it's me, Gabi Henze. Today I'm talking to Caroline Frith. Hello, Caroline.
Hi, good morning.
A young woman I know from primary school time of our children. The time has long gone, and Caroline has a story to tell, not an easy one, I must admit. So, Caroline, really thank you very much to be on the program so early in the morning. How did your day started today?
Um, Much like any other day, with a large cup of coffee, brought to me in bed by my very kind and long-suffering husband. Um, and then seeing the children off to school, who thankfully are capable of getting themselves up and dressed and out the door these days.
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked today about your illness, if I might say so. You were first diagnosed with cancer in 2014, I believe it was, breast cancer. Uh, do you remember, obviously, the time? How was it when you first get got the information from the doctors?
It was obviously very scary. I mean, I was very young. I was only 36. Um, yeah, wasn't on my radar. Yeah, despite having family members with breast cancer, I didn't ever think that it was something that was going to happen to me. Um, but I assumed that I would undergo all the treatment and come out the other side and be okay.
Yeah. Um, was it possible then to say it was like a good kind of cancer, more easily to treat?
No, I don't think any cancer is a good kind of cancer. I think some people think breast cancer is a good treatable cancer, um, and they see all the pink and the fluffy surrounding all the advertising for breast cancer research. But in actual fact, over 1 in 3 women diagnosed with primary breast cancer do go on to develop secondary breast cancer, which is incurable. Um, and I believe it's something like 61 women a day in the UK die from secondary breast cancer. So no, I do not believe that even in the early stages it can be called a good cancer.
Mhm. How did you manage with the day-to-day life? Then your kids were small, young, 5 and 2. Could you work during your treatment? You're a vet, so you have medical knowledge.
I had 9 months off work back then, and yeah, I absolutely needed it. There was no way I could have kept working. Um, I had surgery and chemotherapy, and my sister actually came and lived with us for a few months while I was having chemotherapy. At the time, she wasn't married and didn't have any kids, so she very kindly took a break from her job in America and came over and stayed with us and helped look after the kids, which I will be eternally grateful for because we definitely needed it. It was a difficult time.
Mhm, mhm. You then uh, lived a normal life until 2022. Can I say this in this way?
Um, yes, I mean, I did get on with my life. It's always in the back of your mind. You will never, once you've been diagnosed with something like that, there is always the fear that it's going to come back. Plus, I was on medication for that entire time. I was on hormone blocking medication, which put me in menopause basically at the age of 36, which was really tough. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And yeah, so I mean, I guess it was normal, but it was sort of my new normal. I just had to get on with it. I didn't have a choice.
Mhm. You a runner. Were you always a runner even before your first diagnosis, or did you start running knowing you have cancer?
I've been running since my early 20s. So when I left university, my sister is a very good runner. And I thought, well, if she can do it, then I'm going to give it a go. I could do it too. So yeah, I started running more or less, I don't know, probably aged about 21, 22 when I started my first job as a vet after university. It was a very easy and quick way to get a bit of exercise after a very busy day at work.
Mm. And did it help you particular with your cancer to be such an active runner?
I think it helps in many ways. I think it helps with the side effects of treatment. I also think if you're fit and healthy, um, the treatment is potentially less harsh, and mentally it helps enormously just getting out in the fresh air, and moving your body. I think that is just, you can't put a price on that. It's so beneficial.
Mhm. Do the doctors see this the same, or are you sometimes even not telling them that you're running?
No, the doctors definitely know, and I don't know. I think they think I'm a bit crazy. I sometimes run or cycle to my hospital appointments at Bart's Hospital, which is 10 miles away. I like turning up in the waiting room in my running or cycling gear, looking fit and healthy, and not looking like a cancer patient and trying to pretend that I don't belong there.
Mhm, mhm. And this obviously helps you mentally a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I just need to move. I really need to keep active and keep moving because I think if I stop, then it will be really hard to start again.
Mhm, mhm. And you're not only running, you are what else you do?
So I do swim and cycle as well. I do triathlons. Um, this year I did something called the London Classics Challenge,
Oh,
which is given to it's a medal, and you get put in a Hall of Fame if you've completed the London Marathon, the Ride London 100 cycle ride, and also the Swim Serpentine, which is a 2-mile open water swim in the lake in Hyde Park. And I did all of them since May last year. I did all three whilst undergoing cancer treatment.
wow. So you are in the Hall of Fame there.
I am in the Hall of Fame.
How the treatment is now going on with the cancer coming back, and what kind of cancer is this now?
So in the beginning of last year, I discovered that the cancer had come back, and initially it was discovered in some of my bones. And since then, it's also spread to my liver and my brain as well. So I've had radiotherapy to my brain, and all sorts of targeted treatments. And at the moment, I'm on chemotherapy again. Um, it's my third time undergoing chemotherapy, and it's every 3 weeks, um, indefinitely, basically. And I get scanned every 3 months to sort of see how it's working. Um, and it's really tough. It's not nice. For at least a week out of every 3 weeks, I don't feel great,
Mm,
and yeah, it's just hard when you don't feel well. It's very hard to keep a positive outlook, and not think, you know, dark thoughts, scary thoughts. Um, but at the same time, I can only hope that the treatment is working for the time being.
Is there a particular treatment for your type of cancer?
I mean, there are lots of different types of breast cancer.
Mm,
Um, I'm on a drug called Enhertu at the moment, which is a relatively new chemotherapy. Um, so yeah, I mean, this drug is particular to my type of cancer, and there are various other drugs to try when this one stops working.
Mm.
Yeah.
And do you take part in any trial treatments with professors or at universities, or you say, no, that's not for me?
I definitely would if there was an opportunity. I almost did last year. There was, or this year, earlier on this year, there was a trial in Oxford, but it turned out they didn't have a space available after all. It's
Mm.
quite hard to actually learn which clinical trials are available and which ones you are suitable for. But my oncologist at Barts he also does research and he is proactive. And I know that if any trials came up that he thought I was suitable for, he would let me know. But at the same time, I also do my own research and try and figure out if there are trials and if I would be suitable for them. And then I give him the information, and he can help me see whether I'm suitable for them.
Okay, you doing your own research. Is this
No,
like
just research into whether the trials are available. So just looking up all the you can on the internet you can find out what trials are going on and where they are
yeah,
and things like that.
yeah. Do you live now different with the knowledge from the cancer coming back, or is this, would you say it's difficult for me to say, or is this the same like you had then? You look different to your.
Um, I mean, I try and live very much in the present without projecting into the future too much, because I think if I think too much about the future, then it's very difficult. It's sad and scary, and so I really just try and live
Mhm.
for the present.
Okay. So sport running obviously helps you. Uh, are you a religious person? Are you doing meditation? What else helps you?
I'm not especially religious. I sometimes meditate, not regularly. I think maybe I should. It's something that if I got into it regularly, I probably would find it useful. But um, I just find there aren't enough hours in the day to do all the things I want to do. Um, I read quite a lot. I read all sorts of different books, books on cancer, books on sort of living the best life, books on self-help, things like that. Um, yeah, and yeah, running, like you said, running and being outside.
Yeah. Then we had the period of COVID, so that I guess on your list, what is good for you is definitely traveling, being around, going away. But that wasn't then possible. Was this especially difficult for you, COVID?
Um, no, not really. But what I found when I think a lot of people kind of then adopted a similar mindset to me after COVID, because people suddenly realized that
Mm.
all the things they took for granted, like being able to travel, being able to just go out to dinner, being able to go to the cinema, all those things suddenly they couldn't do. And they realized that maybe you shouldn't just take everything for granted, which is how I had been living my life up until that point, because I think when you're diagnosed with a disease that could potentially kill you, you do learn that you should not take anything for granted at all. Um, and yeah, I do really enjoy traveling. I just came back from America last month to see my sister. Um, and I have plans next year to do some more traveling if my health allows. But it's difficult because well, it's impossible really to get travel insurance now. No one will insure me.
Oh,
And a lot of cancer patients, well, we all find the same thing. So you have to take a risk. You have to gamble. Is it worth going? Am I well enough to go without being insured? Which is just another layer of stress, really, on top of everything that we don't need. But that's just the way it is. Um, But I also like just going away for the weekend in the UK and going away just for a city break in Europe and things like that.
Mm.
Um, maybe my husband and I will go skiing next year. I would like to go skiing in the new year. That would be nice.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about a travel insurance, but yes, that's a real problem then. Yeah. And your kids, they are now grown up already. So nearly one is nearly soon out of school, very active as well. So how do they see their mum?
I mean, they're 15 and 11, so they definitely still need their mum, although the 15-year-old probably thinks she doesn't. Yeah, it's I think it's really hard for them. They I guess for them it is their normal to see me like this, but when I'm not well and when I can't do the things with them that I'd like to do and they'd like to do, I think it must be difficult. They don't talk about it too much. I think they just carry on. Kids are resilient, aren't they? They tend
Mm,
to bounce back, and yeah, they're both very active. They both run as well, which is great. I never really pushed them into it, but after COVID, they joined their athletics club, and they've just stayed there ever since. And yeah, both are quite fast runners and both enjoy it. So that is great to see.
Talking to you, I can't miss to talk about the charity Maggie. Yes. So they helping you a lot, but you helped them as well uh, for the last London Marathon. Yes, you were raising a huge amount of money, as I understand. So, what is the charity doing for you, and what could you tell us about the charity?
So Maggie's is a charity that was started by a woman who also had secondary breast cancer, and the purpose of it is to provide um, it's hard to explain, but it's sort of holistic care outside the hospital. So
Mm,
this woman, whose name was Maggie, was diagnosed with breast cancer and told basically it had spread and it was incurable, and then basically just left in a hospital corridor to deal with it. And she thought, well, this is terrible. There should be somewhere nice for people like me to go within a hospital, but not within a hospital.
mhm,
So there are now 20 something Maggie centres in cancer hospitals throughout the UK. And they are buildings within the hospital grounds, but entirely separate from the hospital, so non clinical, that are staffed by trained psychologists and nurses and people basically available to talk. I go in every time I'm at Bart's, more or less. You go in, you can have a cup of tea, sit down, have a chat, meet other patients if you want to, or just it's somewhere nice to sit that doesn't look like a hospital waiting room.
mhm,
And they run support groups. So if you wanted to, you could go and do yoga and Tai Chi and mindfulness and things like that. Um, but for me, it's more just a place to go that is separate from the hospital and somewhere where I can just sort of digest what's gone on at my appointment or sit and wait for my appointment if they're running really late.
mhm,
Um, they also provide helpful things like financial information. If you want to work out the whole minefield of benefits and things you might be entitled to, there are advisors to give information on things like that. Um, Advisors on nutrition, just so many different things. Basically, the NHS deals with the clinical disease, but they don't have the resources or the time to deal with the rest of it. And when you're a cancer patient, it's a whole lot more than just your cancer. It becomes your whole life. And the Maggie's charity is just there for patients for the everything else really that the NHS can't be there for.
mhm. And you don't have to book an appointment. So after your treatment, you can just walk in.
Yeah, basically can just drop in. It's a 3-story building just in the corner of the courtyard. at Bart's Hospital. They're all designed by different architects to look amazing. The buildings are really beautiful. And the whole point is it's meant to feel like your living room and your kitchen. You walk in and there's a big kitchen table, there's
Mm.
a kitchen with a kettle and a fridge, and you can just go and help yourself to tea and coffee, biscuits, fruit, sit on a comfy sofa. You know, my kids have been there, and Eric knows exactly where the biscuit tin is and where the comfiest chair is, and you know, so they're there for the whole family as well, not just the patient.
Yeah, yeah, great. Oh, that's really great. So what's on your agenda? Sportive agenda and treatment agenda in the
Well,
still.
treatment is just continuing with the chemotherapy. I've got a scan next week, so the results of that will determine what happens next. Um, the sporting agenda, I'm not sure. I've got a place in Boston Marathon next April, which you have to qualify for Boston Marathon, and my time for London this year was good enough to get me a place. But I've had an annoying calf injury for the last few months, so I'm not sure whether it's realistic.
Mm.
But you know, that's in the back of my mind. I just really enjoy running with my running club, because they are my friends. They are like family to me, and that's, yeah, how I see myself, you know, spending my time. I have a few other things up my sleeve, but no, I'm going to keep that quiet for the moment. Because I just don't know really what is going to happen. No, it's very hard. I cannot plan more than a few months ahead. I can't plan for the long-term future because I just don't know. You know, I have these scans every 3 months, and then I can determine how I'm going to live for the next 3 months, but I can't really project any further forward than that.
Understood. And if you're not running, you support your kids, and then we meet again. And you sometimes even run quicker, at least than my one on the long distance, and that's quite exciting. Yeah. Um, Caroline, I must really thank you very much for your time to talk. Yes, I think you have better things to do than just talk, but you're very active. You have your blog, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're helping the charity. We will definitely in the comments yeah, put links to your social media and to Maggie, where people can donate to this brilliant organization. And it was good that you talked us through what Maggie really does for you, and not only for you, but for your family as well. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope I ask all the right questions. It's very difficult for me as well because I know you in person, and yeah, I wish you a happy Christmas, and yeah, I think we see us before the new year and then in the new year.
You too. Thanks, Gabby.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.
I've got the world in my pocket, and I like it, and I like it. The vibe is up, and she is here, and they are near. I've got the world in my pocket. I've got the world in my pocket. I've got the world in my pocket.